It's still Lifnei Hatzahorayim. It's still before Chatzos. But anyway, the reason why I'm making this live stream now is just for my own use. Although I don't mind anybody else seeing it. Driving now to Harrisburg, Bezos Hashem Yisborach, a little nervous with the high winds and the state of my car, but God should, God willing, protect us all. Not that I deserve His protection, but I ask for His grace and kindness and mercy as I travel down, and I hope that I'm going to make a Kiddush Hashem today. But the main reason why I'm actually making this video is because I have 10 minutes to speak today. Senator Doug Mastriano's office invited me to speak today at the Capitol because he's introducing legislature about legislation, excuse me. He's introducing legislation about Holocaust education. So, and even though it's not something I usually talk about, but I'm honored that I was invited to speak. And so since I have only 10 minutes, I kind of want to gauge what can I keep, what can I not keep. I might actually practice a few times, and using the live stream, it actually is better for my phone because I am not using up memory on the phone. So that's the main reason why I'm using this. Kind of like to pass this truck, but so I'm going to probably wait until I pass the truck. At least I have it turned slightly to the left, but I'm also scared I don't want to get a ticket. So, but I would like to also stay in the right lane where the truck is going quite fast in the right lane. So, to keep up with traffic, it's a little scary. The wind here is...
There's a speed trap ahead.
Scary. And then, like, I don't know if you heard, they said there's a speed trap up ahead. I don't see it. But, doesn't mean it's not there. I have passed a few cops on the way here. So, it's the difficulty of driving. It's not there unless it's on the other side. It's not in the obvious place. So anyway, I hope everybody's well. So I'm going to present this as I plan to. I do believe it will be on YouTube from Senator Mastriano's campaign, Dr. Mastriano. Not campaign, he's not running for anything right now. But he was running for governor a few years ago. I think it was last year. I got into a lot of trouble for supporting him, if people remember. Anyway, so we're now at 3:25. So let's start. I hope and pray to Almighty God that I sanctify His holy name today. I want to thank Senator Mastriano for inviting me to share a few words with you all today, especially as I work as a chaplain. I know the importance of religious diversity. It's the season now. Today was the first day of Ramadan. We did a lot of work with that in my chaplaincy work. It's also Lent in the Western churches, and we started today the second month of Adar, leading up to Purim and Passover, times of great joy for the members of my faith. When it comes to learning history in general, which I know Dr. Mastriano, Senator Mastriano, his doctorate is in history, and he understands, as we read in the book of Deuteronomy, Zechor Yemos Olam, Binu Shnos Dor V'Dor, Sha'al Avicha Ve'ageitcha, Zekeinecha V'Yamru Lach. Remember the days of old, understand the years, generation to generation. Ask thy father, and he will declare unto thee thine elders, and they will. Sometimes I get nervous when it comes to things like compulsory education, because I believe in liberty. But I want to explain why I believe it's so important to support this legislation. And I'm proud to know that Dr. Mastriano, Senator Mastriano, is a man who understands the didactic study of history and God's hand throughout all generations. And so studying the Civil War, World War II, can be a devotion, as Deuteronomy tells, just as much as for both Jews and Christians to read the book of Samuel or the books of Kings, or for Christians to read the book of Acts. To understand history is a way to connect spiritually. And indeed, my blessing to you all in the liturgy that we read this morning in the synagogue, because it's a new moon, Psalm 115 verse 4, it says, Yosef Hashem Aleichem Aleichem Al Banechem, may the Lord increase upon thee and upon thy children. And one of our great saints, the Rebbe Zusha of Anipoli, one of the great Hasidic masters from the Ukraine, asked a question that if the Lord is increasing upon you, of course it means you'll have children. So he said that's not what it means. He said rather the Lord should increase upon you, that your relationship with the Almighty should increase upon you, that you can also wish upon your children when you educate them well and knowing that God is in control of everything. I was blessed that my family, none of them were in the Holocaust. My ancestors were all settled in the United States before World War II. On all of my sides, all my grandparents were born here. My one grandfather served in World War II, and another grandfather served in Korea. And my grandmother's family actually settled here in this Commonwealth, in McKean County. Before the Civil War, I believe. I know survivors of the Holocaust. They were my teachers. They were my friends. And more we're losing them. And so no longer could I ask those elders who are no longer here. But I believe, even though, again, as I've said, that I have a libertarian view of education, and I don't like too many things to be compulsory, I think in this day and age it's so important. Now, this might not be popular for me to say, but there's a reason why I'm sharing. I come from a community, my children go to schools that are associated with anti-Zionist Jewish communities. But the reason why I'm sharing that is because today so many people are calling themselves anti-Zionist when they don't know what that is. And in a way, we could say they're appropriating our theology and culture in a way that's not meant to be. Because although we might have theological and eschatological differences, our community supports our brothers and sisters in Israel. I know that the Satmar Rebbe, I heard, can't confirm this, might be apocryphal, but that the Satmar Rebbe in Kiryas Joel, where my children go to school, Rabbi Teitelbaum, he's sending food to the Israeli soldiers for the Sabbath so they can perform their devotions. And he said this isn't a Zionist issue, they're fighting Nazis there. And his father of blessed memory, his sainted father, who I remember, survived Auschwitz, the previous Satmar Rebbe. So he knows, and Rabbi Teitelbaum himself, the current Rebbe, was born in the DP camps after the war in Hungary. So he knows who Nazis are. He knows what Nazis are. And for these people today to say that the state of Israel I don't even want to associate the word, that it shows an ignorance of what the Holocaust really was. And so that's why this education is so important because what Israel is now is the same as when my grandfather fought in World War II. Because what happened, what Hamas did on October 7th was worse than what the Nazis did, with a cruelty that was, even though it was a microcosm of that, it was on a smaller scale. But the cruelty was worse, and in a way worse than what Japan did at Pearl Harbor. And the fact of the matter is, the Israeli government is being very careful, trying to avoid killing innocent civilians. Meanwhile, Hamas is placing the civilians in front of their combatants. And so as we approach, it's Ramadan, which is supposed to be a time of peace. It's supposed to be a time of introspection. Instead of asking that Israel should make a one-sided unilateral ceasefire, which is all they want to do. They don't want to fight. It's time for Hamas. If the first person to call me when October 7th happened was a fellow chaplain and imam, apologizing, saying this is not what Islam stands for, and saying that the atrocities that happened on October 7th do not represent Islam. And that the state, and we should all know that the state of Israel is the only country in the region, as much again as I might have theological differences with them. It's the only country in the region that not only tolerates religious diversity, but celebrates it and supports it and encourages it. But to me, it's important that we remember in the Holocaust the great heroes, holy martyrs like Rabbi Yochanan Wasserman, and like the Koblentzer Rebbe, Rabbi Kalman Shapiro, and the Koblentzer Rebbe, Rabbi Ben Zion Halberstam, and other tzaddikim, other saints, and the great heroes, the survivors like Rabbi Weissmandel, who fought to try to save his brothers and sisters, Rabbi Gustman, and the Koblentzer Rebbe, Rabbi Halberstam, and the Sapper Rebbe, Rabbi Teitelbaum. And upon reflecting all these things, I sincerely hope and pray. There's so much I could share. The time is limited, and I do appreciate the time that we've shared together. That, as I mentioned, the state of Israel, they are upholding. And I'm proud that they uphold, even though I'm an American, I have nothing to do with them. And so my support of Israel is not as a Jew, but as an American, because they're a valuable American ally. And they are paving the way with their actions of supporting diversity to that great day that we all look forward to, as it says in Isaiah 56, verse 7, Ki beisi beis tefillah yikarei l'chol ha'amim, that my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the peoples. We hope and pray to see that day come soon. Amen. All right, I might fix it. NPC, current NPC, are you still there? Because I saw you retracted a message. I kind of saw what you said. If you're still there, I don't mind answering it. Even if you're not there, maybe you'll watch it later. I saw you had asked what my opinion is of Dor Daim, and I made it under 10 minutes, Baruch Hashem. And then you mentioned another rabbi. I don't know if it was Rabbi Kapach or who it was. My biggest opinion, Chodesh Tov, Shalom Dov Ber, the Chosin, Mazel Tov, Lagun Chodesh. It's we can still keep going to saying, Misha Nichnas Adar Marba Mesimcha, your Simcha in the Adar brought us a lot of Simcha. So we should continue to be Marban B'Simcha. So anyway, current NPC, the question about the Dor Daim. I believe very strongly that the most important things of Orthodoxy are the Yud Gimel Ikrim. Anything beyond that is an optional belief. And so although I do have a lot of the beliefs of Kabbalah, Hasidus, this is part of who I am as personally. Any Jew who is Shomer Shabbos and Shomer Torah mitzvahs and keeps and believes in the Yud Gimel Ikrim is Orthodox and kosher. And so just because they have a different view than I have, and they might reject the Zohar Kodesh, or they might reject the Ariya Kodesh, it's not one of the Yud Gimel Ikrim. And so I respectfully disagree with them, but they are still 100% kosher Jews. Now I respectfully disagree with non-Jews and people of other faiths as well. I believe everyone should treat everyone with respect. But the Dardayim, since they're Shomer Torah mitzvahs, even if some of them might be more liberal in certain approaches in halacha, but they're still keeping halacha, and they believe in the Yud Gimel Ikrim, they are my brothers and sisters. They are part of the Klal Yisrael, as opposed to, let's say, the Reform movement, that they reject basic Ikrei Emunah, so that they're apikorsim. They're not my brothers and sisters. I can still humbly agree to disagree with them and love them as fellow human beings, but there's no mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael for someone who believes in Reform Judaism. Now, if someone just goes to a Reform temple and they don't really know the differences and they're ignorant about the differences, and so they're not, like we would say, Bashita Reform, so that could also be my brother. That could also be part of Klal Yisrael. Could be a choyte, maybe even a choyte machta, but not apikoros necessarily, if it's out of ignorance. But if it's out of knowledge, and you know, that they know better, and they choose, you know, so like I would say, probably the bigger nafka mina would be, you know, somebody generally, if they're in a big city where you have access to Orthodox or at least maybe conservative shuls, maybe not such a big city, or not, it doesn't have to be such a big city. There are small towns also with Orthodox shuls. So then you choose to go to the Reform because you have a choice between Orthodox and conservative and Reform, and you pick Reform. Again, there might still be places, there might still be times when such a person could still be under the rubric of Tinnik Shenishmo. It's a big machlokes. Not everyone agrees with the Chazon Ish. You know, the Brisker Rav, Satmar Rav, other tzaddikim obviously disagreed strongly with the Chazon Ish about that. You know, famously, the Brisker Rav said that Nebuch and Apikoros is Och and Apikoros. But I would say, even though Nebuch and Apikoros is Och and Apikoros, which I do believe, not everyone who goes to a Reform temple is Apikoros. But most of them probably are, at least in the rubric of that Nebuch and Apikoros. But there are some, to be mystika, Eden. I remember one time I was on a bus. This is an interesting story. Me and my sister, we were on a bus. I don't know if we were going to the city or coming from the city, going to Queens or going to Monticello. We were on a short line bus from either Monticello to Queens or Queens to Monticello, visiting my bubby, and it was Chol Moed Sukkos. And I was there with a lulav and esrog, and I didn't wear a bekisha at the time, but I wore a hat. I don't know if Chol Moed I wore a hat, maybe not. But what I remember was, so first I had in English Tehillim, Sensino, books of the Bible, books of Psalms. There was a Catholic priest who told me he got his master's degree at YU in mathematics. And he sat next to me and he asked what my favorite psalm was. I said Psalm 147. He said his favorite was Psalm 119. I don't know how I remember this. This is going back years ago. More than that, almost 25 years ago. 25 years ago. And we had a nice little conversation. He got off the bus. And then the real action started. Because there were two boys there, about my age, maybe a little older. I think they were actually older. And because I was in high school, I believe. And they were probably in college. And the one boy, they were friends. The one boy was Jewish, one boy was Christian. And the Christian boy, he like started a conversation loud enough that I could hear, that he is trying to talk to the Jewish boy about Isaiah 53, something like that, or Isaiah 7, or whatever it was that they try to use. And boy, he told me, and so we started a conversation with all of them. And the boy, he said, he attends a Reform temple, and he's like the youngest person there. Everybody else, is over 60, and here he's, 19, 20, and I was like 15, 16. And but he said, the rabbi's so proud of me that I come to shul every Shabbat. And then I asked him, I said, would you like to take the lulav and esrog? It's sukkah. Yes, absolutely. And he made the bracha, and the on his face, I never saw, even like big tzaddikim that I've seen who are excited to shakel a lulav. I saw Tzvi Meir Zilber take a lulav, but his face was covered with the talis. I couldn't see his face. I saw the Hasidic Rabbi also. His face was covered with the talis. Chanishka ken zayn. So I can't say. I'm sure their face was more than this boy. But this boy, I could see his face. It shined. The shine from his face, the excitement to do a mitzvah, to take a lulav and esrog. This one, I'll never forget. I hope I never forget the look on his face, how excited he was to do the mitzvah of lulav and esrog. And so this boy, even when he goes to a Reform temple, he's not an apikoros. His neshama is a flam fire, and maybe he's an epic apikoros. I don't know. I'm sure by now he's frum. I can't imagine someone could take a lulav like that and stay in the Reform temple. That's what for sure. And probably Mistama, the rabbi there, sometimes, certainly in the conservative shuls, there are a lot of rabbis who are frum, not as many as used to be. But this boy, I'm sure he's frum now. I can't imagine he's not. That's all I'm gonna say. But even at that point, when he's going to Reform temple, he was my brother. And I don't know his name. I never saw him again. Maybe he's watching this video now. I don't know. So if I could say that, so achas kama v'kama, the Dordaim, just because I respectfully disagree, and I can see some points to what they're saying, because I think it's an important thing to bring out before I answer the other question. We all know the Maisa Fusik with the Fordorban Ager, our friend, and it still caused me tremendous agus nefesh. And he said, the reason, he said, is gegangen durch the ganz Shas and the ganz Zohar Kodesh. And then he said that's why he was for Dorban, because he had always heard there are two sides. He'd always heard there's one side that says Zohar Kodesh is from Rashbi, and the other side that says the Zohar Kodesh is actually Neoplatonic, and it was written later. We all know it was it was definitely published later, and also that definitely there are things that are in the Zohar Kodesh that postdate Rashbi, but I still, ad kedei kach, I still believe that the core of the Zohar Kodesh is from Rashbi, whether historically or archetypically. But the thing is, if you believe that it's totally a forgery, you can still be frum. Reason to give up Yiddishkeit just because you're not, meaning you don't believe the Zohar Kodesh is real, you still have to keep Shabbos, you still have to keep kosher. And that this younger man, him and his wife, that they're not keeping Shabbos and kosher anymore, Taras Mishpacha, though some of that's not, they're not in that parak anymore, but she's not. You still have to keep Shabbos and kosher and Taras Mishpacha and put on tefillin every day, even if you don't believe Zohar Kodesh is real. And so the fact, and I myself working in Kiruv, I remember at being someone with a little bit from the Satmar Shita, as I mentioned, I felt I was able to makarv liberal Jews who were apikorsim to show them, no, you could be a Yid without Zionism, and maybe get them out of the apikorsis. And I hope every religious Zionist agrees that if you can take a Yid who was a Mechal Shabbos and was eating tarfus, or just didn't feel like a Yid at all, and at least maybe now he fasts on Yom Kippur because he learned that you could be Jewish and be a good Jew and not be a Zionist. I hope every religious Zionist agrees that there's some nitzochen in that there's something good if we can take these very liberal Jews who don't keep anything, or they just put on a talis and blow a shofar when they're protesting with the Ratzchim, and I'm against what they're doing. I believe it's wrong. I believe it's evil that they go together with the terrorists, and I think it's wrong with the Neturei Karta to do too, even though I know them, and I'll tell them to their face that I disagree with going with mamish with Ratzchim. I don't think it's wrong for them to talk to peaceful Muslims and try to build bridges. I think that's a very positive thing to do. But to go with the terrorists, that's wrong. To maybe try to build bridges and talk them out of terrorism is one thing, but I don't see them doing that. You want to tell them, but they're crossing certain lines that they shouldn't be doing. But a Yid, but they should be going, which I don't think they do. If they're going with the liberals, which are not really even liberals anymore, they're leftists. They're really communists, a lot of them, which is not liberal. And they're going with them. And they should be putting tefillin on them. Teaching them real Torah and being makar of them. I understand tefillin with the guf naki, it's a whole thing. But you know what I'm saying. They should be inviting them for a Shabbos meal. They should invite them to their shul and try to be makar of them. And I know that's not really in their shita, but as long as they're doing it, I remember, I'll admit, I talked to Moshe Berbek, Olav Shalom, about this Indian. I remember what he told me, and he said, the nafkamina, and he was very polite about it, but he said, like the nafkamina between Lakewood and Crown Heights, he said in Lakewood they stayed strong to Yiddishkeit, and that's why they were more matzliach, and in Crown Heights they bent a little bit to try to be makar of people, and they themselves were affected by it. Meaning, the one thing he said was like Rabar in Lakewood, he said whoever is giving him money probably wanted they should have English in Lakewood. Should have secular studies, and like Torah B'das, like Chaim Berlin. It's not such a mud nazach, right? Especially in that time. Not even talking about YU, with all due respect to YU. The thing is, in Lubavitch, they don't have English either. But their people were affected by this, and he said it in a very polite and respectful way. Which even Lubavitcher Hasidim, who I know, my cousin, who's not officially a shliach, but he was a real shliach. The Rebbe, Zichron Livracha, sent him. So he's a real shliach of the Rebbe, but not these 20-year-old kids who say they're on shluchas. My cousin, Rabbi Altman Zal Gesundsein, the Rebbe actually sent him. Actually, the Rebbe sent him to Lakewood, and that's where he was for a long time. Now he's somewhere else, in North Carolina, and he's doing a tito for Yiddishkeit. He's doing incredible things, and I respect him. And I know he's a Mashiachist, and that's not what bothers me. The things that bother him are what bothers me about Lubavitch. And his Befeltach and the Ehrlichkeit, some of them, and Rabbi Beck didn't want to exactly say it, but he knew what we were talking about. Not that I support the Mashiachist thing, but I'm saying it's not. That's only another symptom of the other problems. They're much bigger problems. And like the Brisker Rav said, at that time when he heard Basi Lagani, Brisker Rav heard Basi Lagani, and he said, as Yeder meint as Mashiach, aber wir darf nicht kriegen mit dem, weil sie du Sekanas Nefoshes und Shvichas Namim von den Zionim. It's neither here nor there. So, Mimanav Shach, just to finish this idea, and when I'm saying I met with Moshe Berbek, to me it's no difference if I'm meeting with a Reform rabbi either. I don't think he's a Reform rabbi, but I definitely didn't support. He crossed lines that shouldn't have been. I know from Leitner, Chusi Galeno, who's a big tzaddik, they usually would ask shilas to him, and at a certain point he was already said they went too far. So, because I remember I asked, anyway. Anyway, the point is, going back to what we're saying, we have to spread Torah, but he had a very good point there, is that we have to spread Torah without apologies and not trying to water it down to attract people. So and me, I'm very modern. I'm not. I remember I said to Sam Leib title, I'm Sam Rebbe from Williamsburg. In the summer, he's in our town, in the town of Bethel. He's by the Swan Lake part of the town of Bethel. Hello? What is going on with my phone? I guess it's not going. All right. We're still live streaming. I couldn't answer the phone. I don't know what's going on. I'll call her back. But anyway, what time is it? All right. So anyway, just to finish up. So I remember I said to Zabon like Teilbaum, Saba Rebbe from Williamsburg, that I know the Saba Rebbe is right, but I don't always live up to it. He said that's okay. I talked to other tzaddikim about this. For me, I'm Bal Tshuva. I didn't always grow up like this. tefasta mubala tefasta, right? Our friend who lived in Williamsburg, I think if he would have moved to the Catskills, he'd still be frum. And he said everyone in Williamsburg, they were nice to him and everything. It doesn't matter, living in that type of a powder keg and a pressure cooker. It's not healthy for from birth people either, for people who grew up in Williamsburg. My friend, the Nadverner Rebbe in Bloomingburg, he lived in Williamsburg for a while. Says Hasidic Rabbi in Williamsburg. It doesn't make sense to live anywhere in Brooklyn. And he's not saying he's not a Tzioni, he's a Tasher Chassid. He's not saying move to Eretz Yisrael. He said live in the country. Right, the Zoivi the Zaidas. So anyway, the point is that we have to, and I really have to finish up. But all right, we do our thing. I'm an anomaly. I don't want anyone to follow me, But I'll be honest. I watched the Oscars last night, and I don't like sports, but I know a lot of frum people like sports. My Rebbe, Rabbi Weinberger, he's very open. He loves sports. He loves the Yankees. Another Rebbe of mine, Rabbi Sadiq, was my Rebbe. His brother is one of my best friends, and he said, he loves the Jets. And my father, my late father, my father wasn't Jewish. He was a big Mets fan and a big Knicks fan and a Jets fan. And when I told Rabbi Weinberger that I guess I'm a Mets fan, Rabbi Weinberger said, "Oh, Rabbi Yitzchak Zev, I used to have so much respect for you." Right? This was I was a bacher at Ezra Academy. I said, "Rebbe, you're from Queens." And I said, "But it's minhag Avosseinu b'Yadeinu. What should I do?" Right? From the Tatas Gekimen. Anyway, but I got to finish up. I'm almost at my destination anyway. And I know Adam wants me to answer the question. I'll try to answer quickly, but I want to finish this thought, which is hard for me to do. The fact that I was able to finish what I wanted to make in a speech in 10 minutes. But I'll tell you what, my son and I, when Godzilla, and I don't usually watch the Oscars, but I watched a little bit last night because I wanted to see if Godzilla won. That's my team. And when Godzilla won the Oscar for best special effects, that was like I know what it means when your team wins the World Series of the Super Bowl. And Rabbi Pesach Summers, he was writing about struggling with these issues, and I said, I can still thank Hashem as a Hasidic Rabbi for the Hanoah, a kosher Hanoah, I believe, that a movie like Godzilla -1 or Godzilla versus Monster Zero or Godzilla versus Megalon. I don't think there's a Nekeva in the whole Godzilla versus Megalon. Although there's, all right, whatever. Pretty cliche, but and the Godzilla -1 is very clean. Or like Rabbi Weinberger used to talk about the Twilight Zone and I Love Lucy, all these shows. People know I go to Monster Bash and whatever it is, and I say, B'nai Shalom, thank you for the Hanoah that I have, that God gave me eyes and ears and a mouth and everything, and of course I have to use it more for Torah and Tefillah and Yiras Shamayim. But you can have some Yiras Shamayim by having a Korah Tov, just like you enjoy a good steak, you enjoy a good clean movie. All right, it's Bittelzman, and I have ADD, so I'm usually learning Mishnayos while I'm also watching the movie, Last night I was watching the Oscars, and I learned, or at least read through, a couple block of Gemara. So, I'm not saying anyone should nachmach me, but if you're going to do it anyway, Mizaltinen and Erel Chaveg mit Yiras Shamayim, because I remember Rabbi Weinberger said his son wanted to see Ushi, Zol Gesundsein, Rabbi Ushi now. But he was younger than us, so we remember him. And Ushi wanted to watch the World Series, and Rabbi Weinberger also wanted to watch World Series, but I think he wanted to watch Space Jam or something. It was old Misa. and he was very strict about that. I'm not so strict with my kids. Anyway, he was like making musser out of the baseball game, out of the commercials or whatever it was. And then Azoim Kementin, I have the podcast with Rabbi Koblentzer. You all can listen to it. It's on the channel here. We haven't done it in a while. I was talking to Rabbi Koblentzer this morning. Anyway, that's my spiel here. I didn't really finish the idea, but right? So anyway, all right. So the next part is not for kids. Adam wants to know thoughts on Flatbush Girl. There was I don't remember the name of the play. There was an ancient Greek play, classical Greek play, Leostrata, I think it was called, Azel Chamaisa. And I think Spike Lee. I never saw the movie, but he made a movie based on that play, the Greek play. And I'll say like this. First of all, what is it going to accomplish? That's Aleph. I don't know what's going to accomplish. And Beis, anyone who's Ehrlich, they should understand, and it's not always easy, especially have a family, to do this mitzvah. But if you have the opportunity, it should be adarabah, because you have to make up for whoever is stupid enough to listen to this person saying not to do the mitzvah. It's not Tisha B'Av, it's not Yom Kippur, it's not even Rosh Hashanah, So obviously the kedusha b'tahara, but maybe to do if they both want ish ve'ishta, and it's everything has to be kedas v'kedin, and not only that, but with ratzon, and what do they call it? Consent. Right? And between each v'isha, you also need consent. And need to be baratzon. But if everybody is baratzon, adarabah, we should make more of these mitzvahs to make up for whatever idiot is not making it, because it's a big tikkun, and neshamas come to the world when they make the mitzvah. It's not always an easy mitzvah to make time to do. People have a mishpacha, people work. And if that's my answer about that. But I don't think anybody's stupid enough to listen to this nonsense. All right, I really gotta go. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. But even because I discussed the shtib, and she said, "What is he going to accomplish with this? It's not going to accomplish anything. That's not gonna help this lady, So, and the thing is, I know I've heard things. There's more what's going on there. It's not so simple. He doesn't want to give a get. It's what I heard, because my family are involved with that place. So I only heard from my wife, who heard from her friend, that he wants to give the get, but he wants also custody, and that's part of, and that she doesn't want to be mekabel again. I don't know if it's true, but these are the types of rumors that people say. Maybe it's wrong. I probably shouldn't repeat such a thing. But the one thing I've heard from Dayanim who are Chegittim, Sadar Gittin, they all say there's much more. It happens much more often that the wife refuses to be mekabel the get than the husband refuses to give the get. It's just that politically, it makes the news more, and when the husband refuses to give, and so the lemaisa, the way at least by Ashkenazim that the wife can't be mekabel against her will, we've leveled out that playing field somewhat, So it's a two-sided road. All right, so the man could get a heter merabanim. I know a lot of people, they won't make a heter merabanim. I have a friend of mine who his first wife stopped being frum. I shouldn't share this story, but it's important. And yet still, Afal Pichein, he's still so liberal. But it's not. His current wife is a big activist with these inyanim. But his first wife, she stopped being frum, and she said she doesn't care if she's makabel a get or not, but she's only going to be makabel if he cleans out all of his savings and gives it to her. Not that he had so much, but he had something. Because she doesn't care, she doesn't believe in it. So she's only going to be makabel a get if he gives her all his money. So I said, you got to heter merabanim. He said, he asked some in the centrist Orthodox, because he belongs to the more left wing. Friends, he's Orthodox. He was a rabbi, he's not a rabbi anymore. He's not smicha, but I'm just saying he doesn't work professionally as a rabbi. He said all the rabbanim he spoke to said it's not ethical to make a heter merabanim. It's also not ethical to extort your husband out of all his money after she's shildik. I don't know, and it's not just she wasn't frum, not just she stopped being frum, she was also labalo laboyo, and still memanav shach. And he went along with it. All right, so I think that's also stupid. Should have gotten a heter merabanim. In a case like that, I don't know. Obviously, whatever it was. I know there was one tzaddik who got a heter merabanim recently, and he married a woman, a grusha, who did horrible things. She framed her husband, who was a big Talmud Chacham, sent him to prison for 30 years, something he never did. And it's bad stuff. So it's not only there are bad men and there are bad women. And Baruch Hashem, I'm very blessed to be married to a very good woman. And Baruch Hashem, anybody else who's married to a good man or a good woman should be thankful to Hashem for such a matana tova. Matzah isha matzah tov. So just like I said, being thankful that Godzilla won the Oscar. It could be whatever thankful that you are that Godzilla won the Oscar or whoever won the Super Bowl. I don't even know who won, or the World Series, which is good. You should be thankful to Hashem for that. You should be 1,000,000 times more thankful for your wife, or for your husband, for your children, for your kid, for your parents, for your relatives, for your friends, for your shul, for everything. God bless. Please like and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later.